Raising athletes, the things that causes all dads to go bald and moms to buy minivans, empowering parents to help their kids succeed. Hello everyone, and welcome back to everyone's favorite show, Raising Athletes. We're all in this position where we're trying to guide our kids to the best possible result, and we want their path to be filled with opportunities, and that's where this show comes in. This show is really a great place, a community where all parents get to come together, really also participate in the discussion, but receive guidance on how we could better prepare our kids. Also, how can we better prepare ourselves as parents to raise an athlete, whether it be just to play school sports in like middle school or high school, or maybe you're a parent and your child has a dream and their goal is they want to play in college and beyond. Well, there are things that you can do, there are things that you should do, and there are definitely things that we should avoid. And that's why we're creating this healthy environment where we get to learn and grow together because the tide rises for all ships. So if you got a secret tip, share it, because we're going to be giving away really all of those secret tips here. And hopefully today you leave with some really great golden nuggets, because today's episode is what can you be doing as parents? What can your young athletes be doing in preparation for their upcoming season tryouts? So let's say you're a sixth grader and you're a seventh grader coming in and you're going to be trying out for your middle school baseball or softball team for the first time. What do? Are there things that you should be preparing for? Do you just show up? Same thing for high school. Let's say you're an incoming freshman or you're a senior. What do those tryouts look like? It's always better to be prepared than not prepared. And there's going to be some advantages and disadvantages that we're going to be covering today, because we're close to this time period where your kids are going to be now participating in tryouts. You probably heard the buzz. They're getting excited. Maybe you're getting a little nervous with them. But there's ways that you can go about this process to ease those nerves and give them that confidence that they need to be able to participate and get a really great result in tryouts. Now, here is some of this, a shocking truth, and this is a public poll after polling hundreds and hundreds of coaches, is 50% of young athletes do not make the roster after trying out for the local sports team because of lack of preparation, not talent. Now, some people might be in denial about this particular fact, but when we really scrutinize the process and the individuals that are participating, and we look at their prep work, we look at those that did not have prep work, we see a big difference. And that's the important thing that we need to sort of focus on today, that motivates us to really have this conversation, and maybe for you as parents to do a little bit of a deep dive here so your kids are better prepared and you're better prepared to be a guide to them. Is lack of preparation is often the differentiator between your child making their school sports teams and maybe getting cut. Now, the problem is parents and kids, they're under the belief that prior ability or ability is enough. And it's not the only factor when it comes into who is going to be making the team. It's about dedication, coachability. It's about readiness. Prior results don't mean current results as well. And why does this matter? Well, preparation, it's actually starts in the months prior to tryouts. And parents, you guys play a big role. You play a crucial role in guiding your child's mindset, in guiding your child's training, creating opportunity, maybe you being present if you don't have the resources to hire someone, maybe you being that person who's creating that schedule for them and those opportunities, and ultimately giving them better habits to go into those particular tryouts. Now let's consider the following scenario, and let's call these two people Jake and Sarah. Okay, and both are talented middle school athletes. Both have very similar skill sets, and they're both trying out for their teams, respectively softball and baseball. Now you have Sarah, who practiced occasionally And maybe she even is on a travel team. And the last time she played was in the fall with her travel team, and she did pretty well. And so she feels confident based on her prior results. And because she assessed whether or not she was going to do well and make her school team based on what she was seeing back then, she feels like, well, I know that I'm as good, if not better, of the kids at that moment. Therefore, I will be good when it comes time for our tryouts in the spring. And then you have Jake, who followed a prep routine, a diligent prep routine. Maybe he had one of the planners like the PGM Athlete Performance Planner to help guide him and keep track of this stuff. And he worked on his skills, he worked on his conditioning, he worked on his mental focus. Now, despite similar talent levels, Jake made the team, but Sarah did not. Jake showed strong fundamentals, he showed hustle, he showed coachability, and Sarah, where she had talent, she just wasn't as sharp. She was not ready. She wasn't mentally prepared, and it showed on the field. Now, what's the lesson here? See, the lesson is it's not just about how good your child may have played in the past. It's about how well they have prepared for the next thing coming up. And that's the first thing I want to focus on to sort of motivate us a little bit and give a little perspective here. Is when we're young, some kids actually mature physically a little bit faster. They mature earlier. They hit puberty a little bit earlier. And by doing that, it makes them stronger and appear more skilled than the other kids when they're at a younger level. And what happens in that environment right there, there's a psychological imprint. You now are comparing yourself. Let's say you're one of those kids who hit puberty earlier. You're comparing your skills to other kids who've yet to hit puberty. And because of that, you feel now confident in the next season because you saw how great you did in compared to these other kids who have not yet hit puberty and thus are not as strong. But here's the first challenge you're going to face is when they hit puberty, they're also going to start to get stronger as well. And now strength is no longer a differentiator because now both athletes are strong. So it creates common ground here. The second thing that happens quite often, and this is something that I have talked about a lot. It's something that I have observed about 20 years ago, and I have shared this with a lot of parents and other coaches, is what happens in this particular environment where you have the athlete who simply hit puberty earlier and then they're using strength and physicality to overwhelm their opponents and they're doing well. They don't work as hard as the kids who've yet to hit puberty and need to actually have a lot of practice, a lot of reps on the tee, a lot of reps throwing. They need to practice more. Now, what happens a year or two of that type of culture, those two different approaches, is that the kid who did not hit puberty yet and needed to work a lot harder and therefore practice more, got more reps, ends up being the better athlete 1 or 2 years down the road than the athlete who felt, I don't need to practice anymore. Look at how good I am because of how much stronger I am. And what happens is there's a major flip-flop and then they go on completely different paths. So it's dangerous, and how this is applicable here is especially in middle school, it's the primary age where this happens, where what I just discussed and outlined, it becomes applicable here. And you got to be careful. So even if you have a child, let's say, who's bigger and stronger, and they're in the younger age group of, let's say 10 to roughly 13, just because they're bigger and stronger then doesn't mean they're always going to be bigger and stronger then. So don't assess how much your child has to work based on the results comparatively to other players in that moment. That's not going to set up your child for success later on. What I recommend is still work hard. Regardless of the results you're seeing on the field, you still need to practice. You still need to prep. You still need to get the reps in multiple positions, hitting and offense and defense and all these other things, right? So you still need those reps because as good as you may have been against other kids who have not had puberty, you're still not as good as you could be because you've yet to hit your potential. And so here's a classic example of assuming that you're going to be fine. You're going to make the team because of how well you did the prior year. That doesn't mean that you should not be preparing. So make sure that you are preparing. And the classic example that we just gave of Sarah and Jake prepared and made the team. And Sarah did not prepare, and where she may have has the similar skill set, she wasn't as sharp and she wasn't mentally as focused as she could have been because she went in thinking, I got this, and never practiced or prepped beforehand. So a little prep work goes a long way, especially if making the school team is a goal that's important for your child. Well, then, if that's important for your child, let's surround themselves with all the tools and resources they need to increase the likelihood, increase that success rate of being able to achieve that particular goal. Now, here are some actionable tips that I want to give to parents as it relates to this particular topic of what parents can be doing as a guide to increase the chance of their child making their school sports team. Now, it's going to be different for middle schoolers as it is for high schoolers. Now, for middle schoolers, this is going to be grades like 6th through 8th grade. You want to focus on fundamentals, basic throwing mechanics, hitting basics, catching, footwork. You want to build athletic conditioning because this could be a great separator because most kids are not coming in conditioned right off the bat for a practice in a game. So that could be simple drills for speed, agility, and endurance. And also teach coachability. Encourage your kids to be the person that is obviously displaying personality traits and approach to practice where the coach says, wow, that is a coachable kid. You want to encourage your child to listen, to adapt, to respond positively to feedback. And also teach confidence over perfection. Help them understand that effort and attitude often matter more than flawless execution. Now let's shift a little bit because, again, there's different advice based on middle school and based on high school. Now, if you are in high school and your ambition, you want to make the JV team or you want to make the varsity team, then some of the things that you want to encourage your child to focus on is position-specific skills. You want to sharpen techniques for their preferred position, but also prepare them to be versatile because then it can increase your value to that particular team if you're also prepared and skilled in various positions. Secondly, your game IQ. This is not talked about enough because there is the physicality component of being an athlete, and then there's the intelligent component of also being an athlete. And smart athletes can actually, I think make up the difference maybe if they're yet to mature physically. And there's an IQ aspect of the game that we need to discuss a little bit more. So understanding strategies, plays, situations, base running decisions, defensive shifts, things like that. Another big thing, and this is also the one that does carry over for middle school, is strength and conditioning. You want a structured workout plan for strength, agility, and endurance. And then one of the last things you want to help them focus on, this is in prep work again, is the mental preparation. It's visualizing exercises, managing nerves, and staying focused under pressure. Now, there are some really great tools to help kids to manage this because it sounds like, oh my God, this is so much work. And anything worth doing is worth doing right. And any really great ambitious goal that you have, well, you're going to have a little bit of a journey to have to earn those results. And some of the really great resources that help kids to give them that little bit of an edge is things like the planners, like the PGM Athlete Performance Planner. These planners are set up as a guide, as number one, a reminder tool, as a structured program that helps them to create healthy daily habits. It also helps them to really outline what the progress is, where they came from, where they're going. And this tool, it just keeps them accountable to results. And I highly recommend it because we can't just tell the kids, listen, this is what we want without proper guidance. That's unfair to the kids. But surround them with all those resources to give them that best chance of success. Now, parents, what can you do? Well, parents, similar to what we're just talking about, you can sit down with them and you can help to create a tryout timeline. Set goals weeks in advance leading up to the tryouts. You can find a mentor, you can find a coach, you can find a private instructor and arrange for extra practice sessions with someone experienced. Hey, why not create a mock tryout? Go to the field and create a situation now where you're a little bit of a pressured situation where you're replicating the tryout experience. So now it's not a surprise to them. And now when they go to the actual tryout, they'll be like, oh, been there, done that. I've got that confidence now that I can lean on. And then lastly, healthy habits. Prioritize the things that kids we know are not focusing on. Sleep, nutrition, hydration. And this is all going to support peak performance to give your child the best chance of success. Remember, it's not about projecting what you want, but it's about sitting down with your child, finding out what it is that they want, match with what you know that they're capable of doing, and then coming together in a healthy, balanced approach to give them the best chance of success. Now, school sports, they're a ton of fun. And we understand as parents the pressures of that to make the team and the disappointment that sometimes comes along with it of even though you tried hard, you didn't make the team that year. But don't give up because success could be right around the corner. Because you know what? It's okay to acknowledge this. Making the team is fun. It's awesome. It's a great experience. And it also creates an opportunity for lasting memories. And it's a big deal because very few percentage of kids, as you get older and older and older, a smaller percentage of kids start making these teams. So put in that work. It's absolutely possible. If it's something that you want, that you have up until this point been really working hard for, and the people around you really feel like that you've got potential to do well, then put in the effort. Absolutely, you're capable of doing this, and that outcome could be right around the corner. You'll never know unless you try. Failure, remember, we've said this many, many times. Failure only comes when you refuse to give up, when you quit. If you don't quit, that means you're just in the process of progress. There's no such thing as practice makes perfect. Practice makes progress. So guys, I hope everyone enjoyed today's episode on raising athletes, where we're talking about, as parents, what can you to do, or what can we arm parents with that can be a guide and an assistant to your young athletes as they prep for school ball, right? And ultimately, what we get at here is, yes, your child should definitely be preparing for tryouts, and don't wait for the tryouts to start the preparation. You want to have a leg up. You want that advantage. You want to be seen. You want to get noticed. Well, guess what? Take the weeks leading up to the first tryouts as your opportunity to get ready. So you're walking in there already conditioned. You're walking in there already mentally focused. You're walking in there already sharp and ready to go to show the coach you're teachable. You want this. You want to earn a spot on this team, and you'd be grateful for it. And your skills are just out there, right? Because listen, here's another cold hard truth. Sometimes, depending on the program that you're trying out for, you might get 3 to 5 swings to prove that you're a good hitter. You might get maybe 2 or 3 balls hit to you in the outfield to show that you can cover a lot of ground. You got good drop step. You got a good crow hop. You got a strong arm, right? Sometimes the opportunities that you have to display skill are small, and we have to maximize those opportunities by being as sharp as we possibly can. So don't wait for the tryout to start being prepared. Already be prepared because you started weeks before. Again, share this with anyone. If you know someone whose kid is about to go to tryouts, share this with them, because we want all parents and all families and all kids to be in a position where they feel comfortable and confident about the next thing that they're going to be experiencing. And hopefully this particular episode is that one thing that inspires them, it motivates them, and it gets them prepared. We'll see you next time on Raising Athletes. Take care.